New rock is on the horizon from RFK Media. Live the Rock, Volume 1. 15 songs we love from artists we believe in. Featuring RFK Media recording artists The Fifth, Crashing Wayward, Ron Keel Band, also Pamela Moore, D.B. Bryant, Deirdre, Zam Trip, In Theory, Dogbone featuring Brian J. and Dwayne Miller from Kiel. From Australia, Sisters Doll. From Germany, Snakebite. From Brazil, Night Stinger. And special guest from That Metal Show, Don Jameson. And the new single from RFK All-Stars, American Thunder. Order your copy of Live the Rock now at livetherock.com. Hello, Chris. Ron Keel at your service.
Hey, Chris McLernon at yours, sir. Ready to go.
All right, man. Thanks so much for doing this. Long overdue, my friend.
Yes, happy to be here.
The act is called Kinnel. That killer cut is Take It All from their self-titled album. As I just announced, it will also appear on the new RFK Media compilation album, Live the Rock. All over that tune is my special guest, Chris McLernon, who handles lead vocals, bass, and guitars. Many of our audience know this guy from bands such as Saigon Kick and Cold Sweat, and we're going to get to know him a lot better in the minutes to come. Welcome to the streets of rock and roll. Chris, how are you?
Dude, thanks for having me. Good to hear your voice.
You too, man. It's my pleasure. Thanks for doing this. We'll dive into some of your history in a minute, but first, thanks for contributing that Take It All track to our Live the Rock album.
Oh, happy to. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure, man. And I love the track. I love the song. I love what you're doing with that. It also features your partner, Colin DeBrule, on guitar and vocals, and drums by Barry Kirch of Shinedown. What's the backstory on this project?
Backstory on this project is I'm a huge Thin Lizzy fan. So I thought, well, I'm going to give myself a challenge. I'm going to write a record as if I were writing it for Thin Lizzy today. So I didn't want to make a period piece. I didn't want to kind of Lenny Kravitz it out, make it sound authentic to 1978. Like, okay, if they were playing now, what would it sound like and how would they adapt? And keeping all the basic ingredients from that band that I love so much. So that was the goal, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. Also, and Colin, who is also so into Thin Lizzy as well, I didn't have to explain anything to him because, as you know, in America, Thin Lizzy's kind of like a who, but in Europe and everywhere else in the world, they're just revered. So I never had to say to Colin, okay, think of it like this, think of it like that. He'd just say, go, and he'd have it. It was fantastic.
Oh, that's very cool. And they are revered in my house as well. Huge Thin Lizzy fan from back in the day when we grew up listening to that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, as a big fan of Shinedown as well, please tell Barry Kirch I appreciate having his drumming and his name on the new compilation album.
Yeah, I tell him that all the time. Yeah, they were home for a break, and he's got a drum set up and mics and everything in his studio at home. And I said, hey man, just throwing this out there. Would you like to play on something? He's like, yeah. I was like, cool. So I threw a couple of songs over and gave him some reference songs because he knew Thin Lizzy, but not like you and I do, or like Colin does. And he killed it. So he sent it over. He's like, well, how's that? Do you like it? And I was like, I couldn't ask for anything better. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
I said, you can't overplay on this stuff. Like there's a fill at the end of Take It All where I said, just go for it. The snare drum, just keep going. He's like, okay, sends it over. He goes, that's too much, isn't it? I said, nope.
Awesome. Well, as Thin Lizzy fans, I mean, do you draw the comparisons to the next closest thing, Black Star Riders?
Right, yeah, because you got to argue with that's elements of Thin Lizzy involved, right?
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you guys keeping that tradition alive. To find it online, visit Kinnel Band. That's Kinnell, Kinnel Band /bandcamp.com. And of course, pre-order the Live the Rock album at rfkmedia.com. I'm speaking with musician, singer, producer, fossil hunter, Chris McLernon. Chris, your band Cold Sweat will always be connected to my band. We had that connection because of guitarist Mark Ferrari, and now you and I and Roy Cathy have become real friends in recent years. I'm very thankful for that. Both bands appeared on the 2020 Monsters of Rock cruise. Cold Sweat crushed it last year at the Monsters on the Mountain Festival. Talk about coming full circle with Cold Sweat and doing those reunion shows.
It was amazing because I've been told by a couple people, and this happened. Saigon Kick had reformed. Well, reformed. I don't know what you say. Reconciled. Let's go with that.
That works.
And I was told, okay, this is how it's going to go. Yeah, this is how it's going to go. So almost the same thing went for Cold Sweat, except with Cold Sweat, there wasn't really the animosity that breaks most bands up at some point in their career. There was more of the style change is what killed us. So when everything switched over from what we were doing to the kind of the Seattle grungy sound, we were like going from the silence to the talkies. No one cared, not at all. So we just kind of dissolved. So when we got back together to play, there was no craziness, no tense words, no funny looks across the rehearsal room. It was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, go. And as soon as we were done with the first song, I'm like, yep, I remember what this sounds like. It's going to be great, and it has been. It's been fun the whole way.
Fantastic, yes, and I know that same feeling. Same thing kind of happened to Keel around that time, and we got back together after 20 years, and it was just like a family reunion.
Yeah, and then and as soon as, and even if there's a little weirdness, as soon as that first couple of bars into the song hits, you're like, okay, yeah, it'll be fine, and we'll figure this out.
Exactly, and 2023 marks the 30th anniversary of the first album you did with Saigon Kick, Water, and you're celebrating that milestone with the first ever vinyl release of that album. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, that was definitely a cool, shot out of left field. It was at a time when the labels were not doing vinyl. I go record shopping. Vinyl's like what I would put on my boat, I guess. I don't look for vinyl. I look for records. Cold Sweat was one of the last vinyl record releases on MCA. So by the time 93 rolled around, when we released Water, Atlantic was doing cassettes and CDs, and that's it. So to be able to release this on an album format with Real Gone, they were just so helpful and cooperative and imaginative to get this thing done and really do a great job, because there was no template for it. Like a lot of these things are being re-released, they just look at the record and go, okay, we do this. Water didn't have that. So Real Gun had to kind of come up with it on their own, and they really did well. We're all really pleased with it. Absolutely, and congratulations again. And once again, that album, the reason that album wasn't released on vinyl is because by 1993, vinyl was pretty much done, dead, and gone. Are you surprised that vinyl has made such a comeback in recent years? It did surprise me, because you just wonder, like, well, why are you getting excited about this? I think there's some things price-wise that are just crazy. I saw someone trying to sell I think it was mono Beatles for sale, maybe, or let's say Rubber Soul, and they wanted $400 for it. It's like, are you out of your mind? It's the Beatles. So their stuff, when it's mastered for cassette or CD in the last 30 years, it's the top of the line from Capitol. But there's something to be said for hearing Led Zeppelin on an original pressing on a system that it was designed for. So when I put Led Zeppelin 2 on, my daughter had not heard it, and it just exploded out of the speakers, because it was designed to be mastered and heard in that setting. So that's kind of cool. And you can always find bargains too if you look around. But there's just some stuff that's just so crazily priced. It's nuts. And if you autograph it, you can charge an extra $5.
I do it all the time.
Absolutely.
We're going to play a track from that album, Saigon Kick, the 1993 release, Water, after the break. And you can also find it easily at Amazon.com and everywhere else. You know, when you and I grew up, Chris, we all wanted to be on records, albums, whatever. I still call them records because they are recordings.
Yep.
12-inch slabs of vinyl with the artwork and the liner notes. What do kids say these days? I want to be a rock star and make MP3s.
Right. Yeah. Well, what's funny is my son is in a band, and they've done a record vinyl release, and they've sold out of all of them. And what he said is that people like just the fact that it's something tangible and big to look at. It's not like the font on CDs. You know, you've got to get a jeweler's loupe to be able to read the thing. But he's like, people will buy two so they can have one to play and one to just have, because they just like having the actual physical product of a 12 by 12 record. It's really cool. And as you just mentioned, think of how many records we had when we were kids, where you open up just like the gatefold or the cool sleeve or the something we got thrown in extra, like Kiss's Love Gun. That was half the reason of getting the record.
Yeah, it was something. It really meant a lot, and it was. I'm glad that it has come back, and even people like our friend Roy Cathy from The Fifth and Cold Sweat. Our company RFK Media is releasing their next album on vinyl, and he's thrilled, man. He's never had or never been on. Well, he did. He did the Cold Sweat. I guess that was released on vinyl as well. So, just saved me about $10,000 by not having to release The Fifth on vinyl. And there has been talk of you producing that record, Chris. Where does that stand?
Yeah, they just literally just before the weekend sent me about 9 or 10 songs to listen to in various forms of completion. And I've been working with them since about last August, tossing songs back and forth. What do you think of this and what do you think of that? And arranging this and arranging that. And I'm looking forward to being able to dive in and listen to this batch, because Roy said he's actually got a lot of vocal ideas thrown in, whereas the initial batch that I was exchanging with him was, okay, I thought of this, I thought of that, here's a guitar, here's a bass, here's a drum part, and just kind of building, and you know this as a singer, building the skeleton underneath so you can do something with it, getting a good foundation for a melody and a catchy chorus and a title and all that.
Well, I'm excited about that. Of course, you heard it here. Chris McLernon producing the new album from The Fifth for RFK Media, coming out at some point this year. I'm not rushing it, and I'm not getting in the way. I'm just going to stand back and let you guys work the magic. And when it comes out, we're going to push it down everybody's throat.
Excellent. Yeah, and as you know, because I saw you here in Charleston when you did the gig with them, and I'd seen The Fifth a couple of weeks before that. I mean, Roy Cathy just goes out there and kills it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy, and people just can't believe he can still hit, like when we played stuff like Killing Floor or whatever from the Breakout record. It's like he shouldn't be able to do that. And then when you guys were going at it as well, I was like, God, listen to both of them go. Look at this. This is fantastic.
Have you heard the new single that we did a duet on, American Thunder?
I have not heard American Thunder. I knew you were doing it. I haven't heard it yet. I've heard your version, but I have not heard the one with you and Roy. I think I saw some photos or maybe some quick video of it or something, but I have not heard the finished product. No.
I'll send it to you. I was really surprised and of course thrilled that when I got the final mix back, how similar Roy and I sounded. I mean, I was expecting a lot of contrast, but I was like, I was having to listen, going, "Is that him? Is it me? Which one?" I'm just really thrilled to do a duet with that guy because, like you said, he's got an amazing set of pipes, and he's only getting better. I could shoot the breeze with you all day long, dude. Hopefully, we'll get to do that the next time I'm in Charleston. But before I let you go,
yes,
I know you've got a lot happening as a multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, producer, businessman. What else, entertainment-wise, are you up to these days?
I auditioned for a commercial that was going to, if I had gotten it, was going to be in the Super Bowl. So just missed that, which is kind of fun. And then I just literally got a script today for an indie film that's shooting this Saturday, and they were asking if I wanted to play the part of a fisherman, which I thought was interesting. So doing that, and then working on the second Kinnel record. There's another band that I have that I'd say that band, I call it, it's a recording project. I'd say we have 10 songs, but I'm going to do EP of 5, and that's called Megaton. And picture like really heavy, like mid-70s, almost Black Sabbath-y with Ronnie kind of feel, not Sabbath with Ozzy. And then I just started another one about 3 weeks ago. I got the idea to try and do a Southern rock one, a la Blackfoot, Molly Hatchet, Outlaws, 38 Special, that type of stuff. So there's always something going on in my head.
I know that, and I look forward to hearing all of that stuff, especially, I've got a soft spot for Southern rock, so good luck with that, man.
Yeah.
And I know you like to do some fossil hunting there in South Carolina.
I do. I didn't realize as I moved here, but this was like where all the major megalodons and angustides, these huge fish, lived millions and millions of years ago. So I went out with some friends of mine, and a couple of years ago, and it's like, well, let me see. I just love fossils and dinosaurs and all that prehistoric preservation stuff, and I couldn't believe I'm picking these things out of the dirt that have been there waiting for me to grab it for millions of years, and then they belonged in an animal the size of a school bus. It's just crazy. And then I met this, as you know, Aaron Fisher, who works with you, and I go over to Aaron's house, and he's got fossils everywhere. It's like, holy mackerel, kindred spirit, awesome. So he's like, yeah, we'll go next time. We'll find a dig, we'll find a spot, and we'll pull some teeth out. I was like, dude, just let me know when. Let's go.
And you're both out there on the beach looking for megalodon teeth, going, mine's bigger than yours.
Totally. And the teeth, too, we were doing. So,
That's awesome, man. And Kinnel, great news that there will be another Kinnel album to follow this one. We heard the track Take It All at the top of the interview. Lots more great songs on that album, and apparently another one to come. Find it again at Kinnel Band. That's KINNELL band.bandcamp.com. I think I gave the web address incorrectly before. It's kinnelband.bandcamp.com. Any other websites we can steer traffic to for you, Chris?
Kinnel has Instagram, which I think is also kinnelband.instagram.com. I'm not on Twitter yet because I haven't had much luck traction-wise with music stuff on Twitter. That seems to be for arguing on other points for people. And also, I'd like to add in that there's a third Kinnel record that is about halfway written, and it's a thematic or what to call a concept record. So, and again, this is all trying to stay in the style of that big guitar, big chorus, kind of bravado machismo that is Thin Lizzy.
I love it, man. Thanks so much for letting us feature that song, Take It All, on the new Live the Rock album from RFK Media. And thanks for coming on the show, man. Please give our best to your wife, Lisa, and I hope to see you again soon, brother.
Yes, man. It was good to talk to you. Thank you for having us, having me on here, and can't wait to do it again soon.
Right on. Right after the break, we'll get to some more music from Chris McLernon, including that song that we were talking about from the Water album, and it would be a crying shame if I didn't play some Cold Sweat this week on the Streets of Rock and Roll.
Well said.
All right, dude, fantastic. Can I get a liner from you real quick before I let you go? This is Chris McLernon, and we're on the Streets of Rock and Roll with Ron Keel.
You got it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This is Chris McLernon, and you're on the Streets of Rock and Roll with Ron Keel.
Man, that is fantastic. I'm going to cut this together and cut out all my slop, and we'll
cut
get
out mine too.
No, I'm keeping all of yours. The edited interview goes on the radio show on Wednesday, and we're on multiple stations every day, all week long, and looking forward to announcing and playing the Kinnel track and catching up with you again soon, brother. Thank you, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much, Ron.
Take care.